Hey guys, welcome back to Common Sense. I'm your host Dave, and today we're looking at Asmongold's really controversial take on who is the bigger problem for the society. Let's take a look.
Intelligent and smart people. The problem, people are really not going to like this. You're not being oppressed by the top 2% of society. You're being oppressed by the bottom 2% of society.
Yes.
And the bottom 2% of society have caused all of the manifest problems in your lives are caused by the bottom 2% in society.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. Last time I checked, it's not Elon Musk stealing bikes and living outside the 7-Eleven trying to stab people. That's it. And
You know what? Like what he says here actually has point. Like from a Chinese immigrant perspective, coming to the United States, I wouldn't say that's 100% true. Like there are a few things I think largely in our public lives, in day-to-day lives, like it is the bottom 2% that is affecting the life. Like, because I'm a middle class, right? Like I think majority of the people who are watching this probably a middle class as well. And then just look at your life. Like instead of thinking, about what's happening, democracy, all that kind of BS, think about your life. In the United States, it is the bottom 2% that affects the life the most. Like when you go to a neighborhood, when you drive around, when I go downtown and walk in Austin, Texas, what is making me like afraid? Like when I go on 6th Street, right? When I go to the bar, what's making me afraid of like just living or just have like a problem of, walking down, smell like bunch of urine or human feces, or seeing people laying on the street. That's not good, right? But that's also bottom 2%, part of the bottom 2% he was mentioning about. But at the same time, like looking at what other things that affect my life, which is top 2%, like medical system. The medical system in the United States doesn't make any sense. And that is, I would say, largely controlled by the top 2%. But I don't know. It's a complicated topic. I wouldn't say it's exactly top 2% because recently I've been listening to Mark Cuban, and it seems like he's trying to solve the medical care problem, for a bit. But I don't know exactly what he's doing. He's top 2%, right? So I wouldn't say it's just bottom 2%, but day-to-day life-wise, I would totally agree. Most of the things that, making life more unpleasant would 100% be the bottom 2%. It's not Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos that's like outside the bar walking and making it feel unsafe. It's 100% not, right? Like the street law and order, just the day-to-day life that we go through is for sure the bottom 2%.
Anyway, Asma reacting as, so obviously this is true. Careful, the most impoverished and powerless people in your society are the ones causing all the problems. Well, they're not powerless whenever they rob you. They're not powerless when they steal your bike. They're not powerless whenever they start yelling at you. So I went to IHOP yesterday. I didn't get home until like 1 a.m. right? And so like I went out to dinner with like some friends, and so we're there, and there's obviously a tweaker there. There's a crackhead there. And that person made our meal. I mean, to be fair, it made it more entertaining in a way, but the police had to be called. They had to micromanage this idiot, right? And so, and he's just sitting there eating things of creamer until the police are called and they have to make him leave. And so, like, Jeff Bezos has never come into an IHOP and had to been removed by the police. Jeff Bezos has never tried to steal a bike, as far as I know. Jeff Bezos has never, pooped in the middle of the Walmart. It's never happened.
Just the opposite. Jeff Bezos probably created hundreds of thousands of jobs, not more, right? Like, also he's Blue Origin. He's also competing in the space industry against Elon Musk, and they're friends as well. So, I mean, for sure, day-to-day life, when you go to a restaurant, like when you go to a restaurant, you see a crackhead like sitting next to you. The biggest thing is not like, oh, you can just leave him alone, most people say, right? But think about it, truly, using your common sense, right? We're not trying to debate philosophical or anything that's difficult. It's just that, are you actually feeling safe? Especially you're having like young kids or friends next to you. You just don't feel safe, because the biggest thing that hang over your head is you don't know what this person is going to do. He's obviously an oddball in the society, and then you don't even know if he's mentally ill or not ill. And you see all this footage online, like how people randomly stabbing people for no reason, especially being Asian, being a Chinese immigrant. There are like we're being targeted because a lot of the black community, I would say, just feel like they look at Asians, they're like, okay, well, this is a weak group physically, right? Smaller. And then they just go bully them. And you see this footage all the time, just like the footage that the black community circulate of, stuff that happened to them. In the Asian community, we see those footage all the time. In fact, just truthfully speaking, like coming into United States before I came, the advisors will tell you like what to watch out for. And one thing that they will tell you is always carry a $20 bill in your pocket. And the reason they will say before you come is when you get robbed by the black people, you can give them a $20 bill and then they won't beat you up. That's such a sad state of America, to be honest, because I've never worried about that in China, ever. Like, doesn't matter how poor the country was, that's never something that you need to worry about. But coming into the United States, the leading country of freedom, and then you're like, well, I have to carry a $20 bill because I'm worried about being robbed on the street. And that's obviously caused by the bottom 2%, So what he says here is, I think the thing about Asmongold, why he relates or resonates with people, because he says the most outrageous shit. That makes sense, because it is how we feel on going through a day-to-day life. It's not like the richest people. In fact, they provide jobs, right? They're not affecting how we live. It's like your day-to-day life is largely being controlled in a way by the people who might rob you. And they're everywhere, and the government's doing nothing about them.
Did they tase him? No, they didn't. Honestly, they just said, all right, it's time for you to leave the IHOP. And then he started talking. They just waited for him to get done talking. They're like, all right, yep, it's time for you to leave the IHOP. And he's like, okay. Okay, I'm leaving the IHOP now. And that was it. You can't prove that? Oh, of course not. And so, anyway, drinking straight creamer is nasty. He's a nutball. What do you expect? And you have proof that Jeff Bezos has never shit in a Walmart. I do not have proof of that. That's a very good point. I don't. You're partially right. The bottom 2% are the tool that does that, but their NPCs controlled by someone, like the news for someone. So basically, here's the way that I look at it, right? Is that the 1% people cause a lot of problems like long-term, but your immediate everyday issues that you're running into, those are caused by the bottom 2% of society. Those are the people robbing you, stealing your shit, breaking into your car, fucking yelling at you, interrupting the service at a Dairy Queen, having a problem, stealing something out of the store. That's what's really happening.
Yeah, absolutely. I got robbed too in LA when I was working there for the year. I got robbed in and out of my food, and I mentioned this before. It's such a sad thing that happened, right? Also, it made me afraid of going to a public place. Right now, like my family, we rarely go out to eat because we just order delivery or go pick it up because the tipping culture in America is also going insanely out of hand, which is something that I think we should fix almost immediately. But that's also affecting our day-to-day life. But if you think about top 1-2%, what have they done to affect our lives? I think, again, like medical system is one of them. Another thing is all the politicians in America, all the politicians, especially the career politicians, they're actually the top 1-2%. And they're not fixing the problem at all. Every day we look at them, it's just virtual signaling. Like the only one I heard of a breath of fresh air is Spencer Pratt, right? He's talking about, he lives in California. He's talking about his house got burned and he want to fix the homeless problem. So you walk down Santa Monica beach, you don't, look at a homeless all the time. Bro, I'm fully behind that because that affects my day-to-day life. If I still lived in LA, but I don't, right? I'm back in Austin, Texas. Still, like, look at Austin. It's improving a lot. The homeless has been reduced by a bit, but still, if you go downtown 6th Street, the streets still smell like shit, And then it's top 1-2% that is not fixing this shit. I don't know. It's like and also we're paying taxes. The property tax, 20% of that go to the city of Austin. And then we live in a neighborhood that doesn't get affected by anything that city of Austin is building, really. Like anything that city of Austin's buildings downtown is like in some rich neighborhood and it has nothing to do with our lives. So in a way, I think our life indirectly is being affected by the top 1-2% because we pay into the system. But being in middle class America is the most saddest thing because you don't get any benefits, right? You don't qualify for any government programs. You also don't get anything the rich people are building because you're too poor for them. So it's either or. It's just a sad thing that you got stuck in the middle. And I think like anyone who was in this position where you work for your money, you work hard, can feel the exact same way, right? Because you're not poor, you don't qualify for anything, but you're also not rich, where you just got stuck. You don't qualify, you don't get benefits of anything, right? All the stuff they're building are in the richest neighborhood. The people who are stuck in the middle class are just, priced out of anything in Austin, Texas. So I wouldn't say it's exactly like top 1-2% just not affecting our lives, but obviously they're affecting our lives in an indirect way, Like just because they're not building a fancy trail next to my neighborhood, yeah, it doesn't increase our, housing price that much, but at the same time, like, I don't feel unsafe just because, the top 1-2%. I feel unsafe because the bottom 1-2%.
The dregs of society. So I obviously respond to this in the most accurate way possible. I say, correct. They are functional animals who should be institutionalized via either a prison or mental asylums. They can't be rehabilitated. They can only be removed from society. The biggest weakness of Western society is the lie that all men are created equal. What can I say, guys? I really have a way with words.
He does.
And, again, people are going to get mad, but that's the way it is. So what you did, IHOP?
You know what? Like, people are, like, I think a lot of people are going to get triggered by this, right? But largely the Chinese immigrant community, people who came from China, immigrated here, if you ask them, I can tell you, majority of the people will agree. Because, like, when I first came, the Chinese people are actually interconnected, right, in a community. Everybody used Red Note, WeChat, and this being chatted on those platforms all the time. It's absolutely true. Like, I think the idea of all men are created equal is absolutely right on a moral ground, but the environment, everything changes, and then people will just become completely different. I think what's most important from this sentiment is not really what he's saying, right? Because it is a little demeaning. But I think what's more important takeaway from this is that everybody should be equal under the eyes of the law. And the law should protect the people who pay into the system, actually contribute towards society. Right now, I just don't feel like that's the case, right? It's feel like everything the social structure is built is trying to benefit only the bottom and the top. And the middle class, the majority of the people are just stuck, forever in this loop. You're never going to get out of it. And you never, you can go down, but you're never going to get out of it.
I got a chicken fried steak and mashed potatoes. That's just what I always get. I like it a lot. So, you doing that? What a poet. I guess so. And so I'd classify them as non-functional. It's not the pedophilic elites fucking the world. Oh, because the only people that are pedophiles are rich people. There are no poor pedophiles. No, of course not. Homeless, schizophrenic people, dumbass retard. Yes, absolutely. Homeless, schizophrenic people are going to be causing you more problems on average than whatever idiot you think is in the Epstein files. You are absolutely right. Whenever the homeless schizophrenic corners you and causes problems at the 7-Eleven whenever you are at the 7-Eleven, this person is instantaneously and manifestly making your life worse on a direct and immediate scale. And that's the way it is.
That is true, right? When you go, again, we said this over and over again, like every time you go to a market and then you see like someone who come in, the look. We don't have to say it out loud, but immediately what this person is, right? And then, immediately that's a bomb, and then you don't know what to do with it, right? But you feel the urgent sense of let me get the fuck out of here. Like you just feel threatened. I don't know how people are not feeling threatened in that normal sense because you don't know what this person's gonna do. The most important thing is uncertainty, right? Like you just feel unsafe internally, and to deny that is just like insincere,
So, not gonna lie, but you're right, I am, and we are oppressed by that bottom 2%. Why is it that you have to talk to an associate to get the toothpaste? It's not because of Jeff Bezos, it's because of the bottom 1%. That's really it. Do you take leftovers home or do you have a restaurant throw it away? I don't really take leftovers because I eat it all. That's the reason why. I mean, like sometimes, like I'll get to-go bags sometimes, right? But like that's very uncommon, honestly. Like I'll usually just eat all the food. Like I'm not a big eater, so I usually order light portions to begin with. I'm not a fatty either. Like I eat a small portion of food. I don't eat like a full meal, and that's always been the case. No, Zach, it's not the mentally ill retard holding me up at knife point that's the problem. It's Donald Trump. Oh, Oh, right.
Okay.
Yes. All men are created equal. Failing to educate people during their upbringing and
No, I gotta give that comment some credit though. Like gas prices absolutely through the roof. You know, like gas prices are just not good. Let's put it this way. It's just not good. Like right now, if I look at gas prices, I mean, it's going down though. So credit where credit's due. But there's still so much uncertainty with Federal Reserve, and I don't think Federal Reserve should still exist. I think we should just move to a sound money, get on a Bitcoin standard. Really, like this is, but that is caused by the top 1-2% in a way, right? So I guess it's like they're affecting indirectly, you know, top 1%, top 2% as I mentioned, and the bottom 1-2% affect my life. But it's just that top 1-2%, the way how they affect your life is not immediate threat. You don't feel like your life is danger. It's something that you can argue and reason. You know, and a lot of the top 1%, 2% came from the middle class, came from the bottom. So they understood it, however they went through. And then, like normal people, like they don't want to ruin your life. Where the bottom 1-2%, they have no principles whatsoever. Their goal is completely whatever make them feel happy at the moment. It's pleasant, it's pleasure maximum at the moment, and that's what's most dangerous, right? Because they have zero self accountability. It's literally the biggest issue. They don't understand. They don't have the word sympathy doesn't exist, right? They don't understand what you are suffering. They mostly understand what is good for me. And that's the problem because you can't reason with those type of people, right? It's just how do you avoid it? The most practical way is how to avoid it and how to stay away from it. That's why that's why there's so-called word. When you look at like from the Chinese community, when you come in here and then you look at where to move in, rent an apartment when we were in school, or when you first started working, where to rent an apartment, you try to avoid a certain neighborhood because it's just common sense. You know, you try to avoid them because you can't reason.
the Western values is what's failing them. Oh man, Patrick, I'm so sorry, bro. Like, I'm so sorry. Listen, it's gonna get better, all right? It's gonna get better. You're gonna learn the truth. And you might not like it, but you're gonna learn it. And I get what you're saying. What is this here? And I feel like you're deflecting blame from all the architects of society. It's short-sighted. Well, I'm talking about like the immediate negative effects. And also it's about like these people don't really care about the top 1% either, right? Because they're probably going to be okay with other 1%ers and other people like that. And again, I think that both of them are huge problems. They are, but the more immediate problems are the bottom 2%. They absolutely are. And, you know, we're not talking about problems. You remove the turtles from the ocean to put them in trash there. Oh, that's a good idea. You could take all of the fish out of the ocean, and then we could just put all the trash in the ocean. We don't have to worry about garbage cans anymore. That's a good idea. Yeah, I don't know why anybody thought of that before. That's smart. Wants to agree? What if we had deep thought? The elites control the world works, and it's failing to arrest the bottom 2% of retards. I could be wrong. Well, I mean, like, there's definitely a chicken and the egg, right? I mean, you're right. There's like a chicken and the egg scenario where like the 1% engineer the problems that create the 2% or enable the 2% of the bottom. Like, I think that you're right about that. But you know, again, your immediate problem.
That's what we're saying, right? I think like there might be an engineering problem because all the politicians are all top 2%. They make so much money off the taxpayer, and then they're getting so rich. And most importantly, with politicians, it's not their salary. If you think they make most of their money from the salary, you are making a huge mistake, right? Everybody with common sense understanding how politicians make their money. It's through power and information. Information is money. Because they know stuff that we don't know. They know a law is about to come out that benefits certain industry or certain company that we don't know. And look how rich they've gotten with their pocket. Nancy Pelosi, everybody knows about her trading history. She beats all the Wall Street people. How? Like how is that not being investigated in, or you know, she's now held accountable in any way possible? I don't understand. And American people keep on voting for that shit, right? I just don't know how that works. That's why I think the voting system is completely fraudulent. It has to be moved to blockchain because it doesn't make sense. Like any common sense people, I just don't understand how common sense people can keep on getting behind that while those people get rich off the taxpayer money that we pay into, and we are just left behind. The weakest, I would say most vulnerable class in America is the middle class. Like we benefit nothing from the society. Zero. We pay into the system, and there's nothing that you benefit directly from it. Right? You can say, oh, the streets, are good. No, right? It's basic. I would pay into that if you're telling me all the money going to fixing the streets and then, getting the police, make it safe, the fire department, that's fine. But that's not the case at all. Where a little amount of money goes into that. Majority of your property taxes and all your taxes go into other bullshit, right? Like property tax, 40% go to school system that we don't have kids for. And then they say, oh, it's an indirect benefit because the school system caused your housing prices to go up. That is such a weak argument. That's such a weak argument. Look at Austin housing prices. The only reason why it went up significantly was because people from California, the influx that came in during the pandemic. Other than that, the housing prices didn't move almost a needle, right? Like you could benefit so much more instead of buying a house just by putting your money in any S&P 500, any like index fund for the past 20 years. So leave it there. And the same amount of money that you put in your house every month, right? Because the mortgage, your property tax, all that. Instead of doing that, put in your rent apartment and then put all the money in your like S&P 500, in your index, in your Vanguard index fund, you'll make so much more money. You'll come out with a lot more asset compared to you sell the house for after 20 years. But we got lucky in Austin because of the pandemic, because of the influx. That's not because of the school system. That has nothing to do with it. It literally has nothing to do with it, right? Nothing changed because of it. If you think Austin has a good school system, every city can claim the same thing. It is such a weak point to say like we're paying to the school system for this like weird ass school teachers. By the way, I was tutoring when I was in school, in college, and I was tutoring American Society of Civil Engineers, and I went to volunteer to tutor a special school. The teachers are absolutely like disgusting. They know nothing, and there are teachers who get paid a really good salary, a decent salary. Like I agree, a good teacher should be paid well, but how do you decide what a teacher is a good teacher, a teacher is a bad teacher? The biggest debate right now is like good and bad teachers. They all stay in the same system, and they're irreplaceable. It's really hard to replace them, right? And it doesn't make any sense to me, because like where I grew up, if you're a bad teacher, you're gone very, very fast. The students tell the teachers and the school board, and they're just gone. Here, the parents almost have no say on whether a good teacher or a bad teacher can stay in the system, right? Because they're all protected by the union. So I don't know. Like it's just, like this entire debate of who caused more problem, 1%, 2%. I think it's like, yeah, it is. It's again, it just bottom 2% is affecting our life directly in a life-threatening way, right? Just like you go through life and you feel like unsafe. It's unsafe. But again, top 1%, 2% of politicians engineered it. They did nothing about it. Just let it happen. And then they, we need more taxpayer money to fix it. And still nothing happened. And we keep on voting for it, right? I don't. But again, I vote, but then it just seemed like the people I voted never get elected anyways. Who knows?
That you have, those are caused by the bottom 2%. They absolutely.
I just don't understand how any reasonable person, common sense person can keep on voting for the same politicians over and over again when your life is visibly getting worse. I don't get it.
We are. And that's just the way it is. Let's see some of the other ones. Based opinion. It's this dumbass ramblings of a millionaire whose concept of oppression is not being able to say slurs in a video game without people on Twitter posting about it. What is it? No, I was talking about getting stabbed. I was talking about getting raped or stabbed. Like, what are you talking about? Oh my God. So it's, again, the intentional misunderstanding, as always. We love intentional misunderstandings. It's hard to...
It is so true. Like, I don't understand how... Like, I made videos about the Chinese immigrants' take on Carmelo Anthony, on the Rick Chow case and whatnot, right? Any common sense people looking at the facts will say, okay, this is just the facts. But same... Like, I got comments in the... You can go look at the comments. You'll be so... Like, just what? How are we looking at the same thing? And this guy just saying stuff completely different. It seemed like a lot of people's brain are just wired to ignore. Like, when they hear something they don't want to hear, it's like going to one ear, completely out the other ear. They forgot those facts exist. And they're like, oh, it's a murder. It's murder. It's not, self-defense. They forgot about all the other facts that went into it. And then, like, for example, Rick Child's case, like, if you haven't looked at it, it's actually a fascinating case. Because there are 5 black jurors that acquitted Asian men. And they just use common sense. They clearly have better evidence than all of us had, right? They have firsthand evidence. They discussed it. They deliberated. And then on acquittal, we were not even there, right? And I look at the facts that you can clearly understand why they acquitted this Asian guy. And there was not a single Asian guy on the jury. look at all the black community outrage right now about there's no black jurors on the Carmelo Anthony. You don't see a single Asian outrage because there are no Asian on the jury. But facts are facts. It is what it is. The 5 black jurors acquitted an Asian guy. And here I see a bunch of, community outrage about Rick Chow should be, sentenced to life or whatever. I was like, yo, give me a break. Go talk to the black jurors and see why they are being quote unquote unfair, right? Or simply because facts are facts and you just can't ignore the facts.
Comprehend how much money, effort, and time gets sucked up by the black hole that is trying to take care of the lowest common denominator of society. I like this guy. I like this guy a lot.
True.
And for a fantastic example, look at programs like No Child Left Behind, which at the cost of insane amounts of money and sucking up time away from bright and average students, raise the lower students' grades by single-digit amounts. That's pretty much the universal maxim. In the words of No Country for Old Men, it takes very little to govern good people, very little, and bad people can't be governed at all, or if they could, I've never heard of it. I've heard of it. It's called the El Salvador Maximum Security Prison. Actually, you can govern bad people very easily. So the same way you govern bad people, this is the thing, right? Is that all of the things that you do to livestock are the same things you do to those bad people. And it works. It works so well. But if you're confusing the two, then you're going to have problems. So
that's the ultimate debate. I think it's a fundamental clash of, fundamental beliefs, philosophies. Because in America, one big batch of people believe that people are born nice. People are born angels. And then it's a society environment that made them demon. I think the other side just fundamentally believe that we are born blank. And then you have to take self-accountability to your actions. And you also have to recognize evil or just evil. There's certain evils cannot be corrected. And it's proven by history. Basically, one is more living in reality. Like we live in reality. Like I don't lean to the right or left. It's just I live in the reality and I recognize what is happening in the reality. And there are a group of people that rather live in La La Land, which is like, oh, you see this, but you forgot about the root cause. It doesn't matter what the root cause is. Certain evil just cannot be corrected. The only way to correct them is to eliminate that problem from the society. And tell people you cannot do this. That's the only way to do it. You just can't make evil people not evil. We have seen over and over again, like you release a criminal back onto the street. The first thing they do after they're back on the street is commit the same crime. The quote-unquote the rehabilitation is all bullshit because I don't believe people can be changed. The only time people change is they change themselves. And that never happens. That rarely happens, right? It's just because certain group of people just don't have that gene to change themselves. It's like people who change themselves are usually not in the bottom 2%. Because they understand what the problem is. Self-accountability is a common trait among anyone who is quote-unquote good in society. They recognize it's me that have to change. So they progress. They read a book. They don't steal. They start working a job, read a book, and find a new profession that pays them more. That's a common trait among quote-unquote good people, right? But the bottom people, the reason why they're a bottom, because they don't understand what self-accountability is. And that's an issue. And for those type of common issue, you cannot fix. Sadly, it's never being taught, and they will never understand. And it's something you can understand as a common sense person. Because you can't teach them into it, the only way to eliminate the bad actors in the society is put them in a prison and put them aside. Forever, right? Unless they understand it themselves, and you can tell, then they're released back into society.
Bonvino tweeted about Vlad the Impaler. I saw that. We're going to talk about that in a little bit, but I'm not ready for it yet. So somebody wants nothing is tell you poorest merged society are impressing you. Absolutely, they're impressing you. They 100% are. Elon Musk isn't stealing your bike, and I disagree. The bottom 2% are taking up most of the voting block. Well, not all of those. What part of society keeps them from bathing and talking to women? Well, if I was talking to this is what I find to be so odd. Your sense of success in life is approval from other people and being able to take a shower. Like, do you understand that, like, how easy that is? Like, really, like, it's not a big deal. Like, this is some kind of a massive issue. Changing the subject. Oh, they've got to change the subject. Oh, yeah, Asmongold is a moron. You cannot be oppressed by an oppressed class. Yeah. Well, what do
You see, talking about this is so BS. Like, if anyone is a moron, it's this guy, a TTPN gaming guy. like any common sense people can see this guy is the actual moron that he's talking about. It's definitely not, because the thing about Asmongold again is just he likes to point out the obvious that nobody wants to admit, because it's considered, if you say that first, it's unsafe. It's also considered unpopular in a political correct environment. That's why I keep on saying the freedom of speech in America that's so advertised is bullshit, right? It's so bullshit because like literally you say that your career, your job, your life is on the line. Like how is that freedom of speech? People keep on saying that compared to China. Oh, like China doesn't have freedom of speech. No, give me a break, right? Like in China, you say stuff, you're not gonna get killed. Here, you say stuff, you're gonna get killed, right? Like that's the difference. So that's why I also in my previous video I said that it doesn't really matter, because coming from a Chinese immigrant perspective, like with that background, I said whatever I could in China. The only thing you understand is a different culture. In China, you just don't say stuff about the state. You don't talk about politics. Other than that, any cultural stuff, you can say whatever you want. The government actually is completely letting the society do its own thing, right? You do your own thing, you debate your own gender stuff, whatever you wanted to. They don't care. Here, the state has a hand in it for some reason. The politicians are using that as a talking point and is somehow meddling in day-to-day lives for no reason, right? So that's the difference. Where in America, you're more worried about your life when you say freedom of speech, you know? So I wouldn't say whichever one is good or better or worse. It's just different culture. Let's put it that way. But any common sense people looking at this say like, what are you talking about? Obviously, it's not about oppressed by, oppressed class. This is such like you're not a philosopher. This is just what we're talking about. He's not living in reality. You go out, you eat. You especially go downtown, 6th Street, you try to party. You're not worried about the top 2% oppressing you. The only thing you're worried about is, am I gonna get robbed tonight? Right? Like that's really what you're worried about. You walk down Lake Austin, you try to take a walk. You're not worried about top 2% try to oppress you. You're worried about like when you walk, like you see a homeless person on the street, like is he gonna just randomly walk up to me and do something to me? That's what you worry about. And you also get disgusted by the piss and the urine that's on next to under any bridge. That's what you're worried about. That's not oppression, but it directly affects your life. I mean, in a way, it is oppression because you feel immediate threat, and that's not good. Like you try to go about your life and you just feel immediate threat.
What do you think happens whenever a guy tries to stab you at a grocery store? Like I think that's like oppression. Like you have to deal with that. Like yeah, absolutely you can. Yeah, 100% you can. That guy's racist. Of course he's racist. This guy tweets about me all day, every day. He's been talking about me for years. And that's like saying your life isn't worse because the crown taxes 70% of your income, but it's because homeless people exist. And you see how, by the way, this is one of the commonalities. None of these people will even engage or discuss what actually is being said. They have to create caricatures of something that isn't being said so they can argue against that instead. Because the reality is that we have so much engineered discord through having these animals in society. We do. There is so much of it. And now you have people like me calling it out. You do. And this is a dude that couldn't drink water without washing it down with a Coke. Even I thought he was just a meme. Every time I watch this, I can't stop laughing.
It is who he is. It is what it is.
You know what? Let's watch it again. Stop flexing. Yeah, stop flexing Fiji water. Somebody said in the chat.
Drinking Coke as he's watching himself drinking Coke.
Who the fuck drinks this shit? Yeah, just okay. All right, we're gonna water to the first one, okay, guys? Alrighty. And there we go. I think that's way enough. Maybe a little bit more. Okay.
I mean, how does anybody like? I mean, this is obviously like the thing is that this happened a long time ago, so I can say it. Like we're obviously memeing here. I'm obviously goofing around. Like yes, like do you really think I'm watering the plant with Fiji water? Why would anybody? It's such a ridiculous premise, and people are just like, oh, like they're goyim. They're goyim. I don't know what to say. It's sad. So Anyway, not my fourth wall. Oh, everybody knows this. Idiocracy, being this accurate, starting to figure out. This time we didn't listen to people, didn't know the basics of maintaining their own health. Now they're being put as a pedestal of philosophers of their time. Everybody always, see, this is always what it is. They're always mad. Toothless, white trash Nazi refuses to clean his ass as a moron. How do you know what my ass is like? Why do you think about that? I never think about, you know what?
You know what's interesting? Like the people who criticize about Asmongold's hygiene and whatnot, he's the most popular streamer in the West, right? I wouldn't say just in the United States, in the West. Nobody is more popular than Asmongold. All his social media channels are explosive growth, right? This guy is the most popular. Like clearly, the market has reflected that they don't care. Nobody cares because he's in the home talking to the mic. Why do you care so much about somebody's hygiene? Like, why are you so insecure about somebody's hygiene? He's not touching you. Like, what? How does that matter? And somebody like that style, right? Because it's authentic. They see it authentic. They see it as like, this guy is not pretending to be someone he's not. You know, but by the way, how do you know he's not like clean? How do you know? I just don't understand. I would never know, right? Like, because I buy the same shirt. I buy 5 shirts of the same. And I wear them, and then every day I will just clean. I'll use a different shirt, and I do my laundry once a week to clean all the shirts. You will never know. Like, you probably think I'm wearing the same shirt. No, I'm wearing 5 different clean shirts. I just like the same shirt because I don't change my clothing that much. Like, I don't see, this is so criminal. It shows like people who are so insecure about the looks.
Who thinks about cleaning their ass? Fat people think about cleaning their ass because they have to do extra. It's like cleaning the way that they are. Like you build up extra excesses. Like a skinny person doesn't think about that because just by bathing regularly, that's something that happens on its own. So if you hear wash your ass, that's probably from somebody who either has a fucking bowel problem that should talk to a doctor, or that's from a hog. That's from a fat piece of shit. Okay? So, and there's a lot of those out there. There's too many of them. So they always attack your appearance. I know that. Yes, exactly. And not that you start improving it. You start go after your sexual orientation. Oh, yeah, no. Well, and yes, oh, right, about me being gay. Exactly.
By the way, like a lot of times when he says this kind of stuff, you totally understand he's going extreme because he want to make a point, right? He clearly is not this mean in person. Like just by who he associates himself with, whose friends is. Like, if you meet this person, Asmongold, I would like to meet him someday, right? But if you meet this person, I assume, like, any common sense person would say, like, he's probably going to be one of the nicest person you meet, right? Because you know exactly what you're getting. And the most important thing is, like, just the conversation he's having online is clearly a rage bait a lot of times, right? Just to rage bait those people who are already triggered. But most common sense people just don't care. He's exaggerating because he's streaming. And that's what people like to watch, in a way, you know?
Exactly. Bullshit.
It's also funny.
Socialists are parasites on the soul of human progress. Oh my god. He is worth at least $25 million. These people really like talking about nothing. They really do. You're not being oppressed by the 2%. You're being oppressed by the bottom 1%. Well, who's the guy that's going to steal the cookie here, right? Like, what's the more likely one, right? Is it going to be the bottom 2%, or is it going to be the guy that already has all the cookies? I wonder, guys. Yeah, really hard to decide.
By the way, this is the wrong picture. The guy on the left doesn't look like the bottom 2%, you know? Because most of the people who are like that on the left are middle class. You know, like it's easy to climb to middle class in the United States. Extremely easy. The issue is going from middle class to top 2%. That's really hard. Because like how, it's just like the profession, the environment constantly changes. And then, you know, making money here is so difficult. You know, it's easy, also difficult. It's easy for some people, it's difficult for most people. So this is clearly a middle class person, and this is just bad cartoon in my opinion. It's like same as the guy on the right, you know, we're the same. And he's also purposely depicting the person on the left because the 2%, 1% that Asmongold was talking about is clearly not this guy. This guy is not bottom 2%. It seemed like if he wanted to work hard, if he's decent about like, if he thinks about his day-to-day decisions and just work hard, you will never be bottom 2% if you just work hard here. And by the way, working hard is defined very differently in America compared to the rest of the world. Coming from the Asian country, how we see working hard, for example, like coming from a Chinese background, how we see working hard is you get the job done, and until you get a job done, you don't rest. But in America, the standard is very different. Here, if you work more than 40 hours a week, which is normal work week, you consider working hard for some reason, for some weird, odd reason. I have a friend I know who considered working hard for more than 13, who considered working more than 13 hours a week working hard. I don't even know how. Basically, the standard in America is so different from the rest of the world for what working hard is, right? Like, but in my opinion, most of the time when people say working hard, they have no idea what working hard really is, and that's the American standard, right? I think this is just what Ray Dalio was saying. The country is so developed where people are comfortable and they think the entitlement mentality is a plague that is plaguing this country right now, where everything should be granted for free, where everything should be free, which growing up in Asia, I have never gotten free stuff ever in my life. Like I came here, I paid international tuition, which is extremely expensive. I've never gotten anything for free. All these years that we pay into the tax system, there's only one time that I truly felt I benefited, which is like, there was a winter storm in Austin, Texas, and my wife and I got stuck on the highway, and we called the police, right? And then the police car escorted us off the road. I was like, holy shit, this is good. That's the only time. Other than that, I don't know how. It's just, I feel like life is harder and harder, and everything's getting harder and harder, more expensive, right? And you can't even go about a normal life because you're worried about getting robbed or stolen, or stabbed on the street. Like you can't go to, like think about all the stuff that's happening. You can go to public places because you're worried about getting shot. You can't go downtown because you're worried about getting robbed. It's one or the other. If you're in LA, California, and New York, it's the worst in a lot of neighborhoods. So this is
anyway, the left one. Yes, everybody knows this. We all know this. And I've never heard a point that makes less sense than this one. The reason why I said this is because I knew this would break people's brains. It's because we are so conditioned and so used to just accepting that, like the popular socially acceptable opinion is that the top 1% of the reasons why we have all these problems that's the reason why I said it. I said it because people are not ready for this. And that's exactly it. And
I think in a way, Asmongold is bringing a cultural shift in America because he's so popular here. In a way, he probably is bringing a cultural shift where people, because of him, are inspired to talk out louder. Like, for example, me, right? I really never cared about any of this. Like, it's affecting my life. But from a Chinese immigrant standpoint, we'll always just endure and go about working hard and try to get out of it, right? But still, like, this issue always exists in our day-to-day lives. And I'm just talking about from my personal anecdotal example, right? I'm not talking about, like, abroad or anything. I don't represent a whole Chinese community, obviously, right? I know like people who don't even live here and hated all the Republicans in America, which is so interesting. Like I don't hate either side. I just think their philosophies are different. But there are Chinese people like that, but they're oddballs. Majority of the people in the group chat in the community that we know are common sense people who are affected by the same thing.
Your sunscreen now? I don't know about that, but you're oppressing these people. Are you gay since when? I don't know. Apparently from like a month ago, according to Twitter. I'm not even really sure. So you're breaking the woke matrix. I know. Look at Aristotle's opinions on non-Greeks. Well, I mean, again, he's probably right. I know what he said, and yeah, he was. And it's an oppression sandwich, oppressed from the front and the back. Absolutely. For sure, there's no way a 65 IQ can steal from the rich guy. Too stupid to get through security. Exactly. And so, do you think these dum-dums that say shit about you are actually retarded or purposefully ignorant? I think that this is the real reason. It's because these people have never had to think about any of their beliefs. And so the moment that anybody disagrees with them and they can't get the person deplatformed, they just go into a tailspin because they don't know how to react to a person who doesn't agree with their conclusions. So like whenever they hear somebody saying like, no, actually, I don't agree with, X, Y, and Z thing, they're like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I can't believe this, right? And so people don't like to admit the truth? Maybe, right? I'm not even sure. So they're a hive mind? Yeah, it's a hive mind of these people. And I think that's the way that they behave, too, is they behave like a hive mind as well.
True. It's very tribal. A lot of this is very tribal. It doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter how life actually is. It's just tribal. But at the same time, you can understand it, right? Like, the reason why I don't say stuff that Asmongold says, because I also understand it. Like, in the psychology of money, it says no one is crazy. And I can understand it because everybody have different upbringing and different environments, so they see the world differently. So it's a little bit counter or unsympathetic, the opposite of sympathetic, I would say, what's the word? To call it out loud without understanding the life story. But I also don't have the time or energy to do that because I'm more focused on, what I need to do. So I can understand it, the tribal Hivemind mentality. It's just sad to see, but you can see there's some reasons behind it, right?
They can only think in abstractions, not with direct cause and effect. Exactly, and I think there's a lot of people that way. But yes, of course, he's right. It's homeless and jobless people stealing your homes and jobs. Well, yeah, actually it is. Like, I mean, look at squatters, right? I mean, for example, absolutely. But anyway, let me go back. I'll look at a few more of these posts. Oh my God, what is this? A 53-year-old Indian fied. I can't even see that. I don't even want to look at that. And opinion, women in the U.S., you're even more dumb by trying.
By the way, I gotta say, the homeless issue is such a stupid topic. Everyone to say that homeless people are not like, they're oppressing you. Oh, they're homeless, jobless. Let me put it this way, right? Because we know homeless people in real life and who put themselves back, put themselves in a bootstrap. That's a phrase. Like who pulled themselves back up into the society. There are people who actually genuinely went through a hard time and came back up. This exists in all societies. Now, those are quite inspiring stories. But majority of the American homeless people are crackheads. They're people who are addicted to drugs. They need help. It's just society is too soft in terms of treating those people, right? Oh, they have rights, let me, like literally stats came out and said 90-something%, 97%, something insane number. I forgot reading it before. Something insane number. And you can research this easily on any AI system. Insane amount of homeless people are just crackheads. They're addicted to drugs, but mandatory rehabs is also too harsh in American society. Oh, you can't force them to rehab. They can do whatever they want. It's like basically spoiled parents who are too soft because the moment their kids, I'm hurt, the parents forgot about what discipline is. That's literally what American society has came to. From an outsider observer standpoint. And that's why this is happening. It's why homeless issue is like so prevalent. If majority of them are drug addicts, if you think about it, if you force them into rehab, if you don't fix yourself, you're not coming out of society, right? If you don't completely eradicate this addiction to drugs, you're not coming out. Then we won't have this such a huge homeless problem on the street, right? Because if you think there's normal people who actually wanted to work, well, clean their issue forcefully, right? Don't go soft on their, we gotta treat their human right. I can't understand
when they have the strongest men with the strongest military.
You won't even allow kids to drink under 21. Yet we allow people who are literally drug addicts, disturbing public safety to stay there because of their own human rights. But let's also not care about the majority of the people, the regular citizens who abide the law, who pay in taxes. Forget about them. Let's only care about the people who, disrupt the societal norms, right? Because those rights are more important, I guess. It's just a misunderstanding of priorities, I believe. And because the society is growing too soft, it's too rich, and people are living too good of lives. And that's the cycle, right? Good time make weak people, and weak people make bad times, and bad times make good people. And then that's how the cycle repeats.
It's because of the social consensus. It's not even about the consensus of force, because the consensus of force doesn't exist. Like, women don't need to make decisions based off of the consensus of force, because the force allows them to be whatever they want to be and think whatever they want to think. And so to the extent that there is no force consensus that's, there, then you also have the social consensus. So that's the reason why. Are you going to be a professor at Streamer University? Yeah, I don't think they'd want me to teach a class. I think that my class would be, that would be a really bad one, okay? That would be like, I don't know, like, geez, I'd have to really think about what it would even be. And professor being based, I mean, I guess, right? But yeah, people might not like what I'm saying. PE, yeah, make all the fat ones run around. I like the sound of that. But anyway, yeah, let me go and find these other ones here too, because there's been a lot of other shit going on as well. And oh, here we go. And oh my God, essentially, yeah, Rupert Lowe's been on the warpath, man. It's great. I'm very happy to see this. Common Sense 101. Well, that's the problem, right? Is that, see, the world has gone, this is the issue that we have now. The world has gone so completely insane that now being normal like me, I'm the only person that's normal. I'm the only reasonable person left. I'm the only person that thinks about things logically without, doing what I want to do. And there's obviously...
Me too. I'm probably the second logical person. Like, the way how I see this is Chinese immigrants are the common sense Asmongold without the language, right? We just don't care about, if you want to be crazy, if you want to call whatever you want, I don't care, right? And most of the Chinese people don't care. They don't even participate in politics. Chinese people in American politics are just like rich people who got free votes. If you know some Chinese people, hey, can you vote for me? They will do it without caring about your politics. That's literally how Chinese are. It's sad, but it is what it is. But largely, if you look at Chinese immigrants or Chinese community in general, the values are actually largely aligned with Asmongold, because it's like common sense. Because Chinese people are very practical. It's living in reality because we care about our day-to-day lives. And that's what this guy does. It's just that he added more of a language that I don't even know how to say because I'm still learning English.
You guys too, like my viewers are the same. But beside me too, yeah, exactly. We're the only ones left. And everybody else, I think that what's happened is that media and movies and TV and the internet have created a fake reality that has just completely distorted what an average person would believe. They've completely distorted it. And critical thinking theory, well, nobody wants critical thinking. So I've talked about this before. I don't want to go off on a big tangent because there's other things I want to talk about and get into today. But I want to talk about the trap of critical thinking. So critical thinking is extremely dangerous in today's society. What if you believe in science and you say that biology is real? Then you get excommunicated by the left wing. What if you believe in science and you say that maybe pollution is bad? Then you get excommunicated by the right wing. What if you believe in borders and you think that, applying the law should be fair? Well, that means that it's okay. What if you believe in applying the law to politicians that are, like criminals or something like that? Well, then, or like even Donald Trump. Well, then, okay, now the right wing hates you. What if you think about applying the law to, drug addicts or crackheads? Well, now the left wing hates you. So it's really about, it's never about actual principles. It's about basically team sport sides. That's what it always is.
Absolutely. But I don't think it's principle that much. I think it's just, one is based on reality, which is common folks like us. I think majority of the middle class, maybe. I don't know, right? Because I don't want to represent anyone. I don't want to speak for anyone. It's just common class people experience day-to-day life in reality. And there is a group of people who just don't live in any reality. I don't know how. I don't know why. Like, I don't know how you can go down the street and look at the homeless people next to all the sidewalks and be like, yo, this is fine. I just don't know, right? But people who are middle class are too busy working, grinding for the families, grinding for themselves to care about this type of issue. That's the dilemma, right? Like most of the time I just don't care because I'm too busy. I'm either working some more or trying to find out like how to make the future better. I'm either working, and a lot of the hardworking people I know are the same. They're just working, try to build businesses, try to find new opportunities, try to find investment opportunities. That's what we talk about. It's hard to look at the things that affect our lives. And we agree with it because we see them with our own eyes. We're people who live in reality. And there's looking at like a bunch of people that discussing about politics online or discuss politics on the national TV on a national scale. Most of it, you're just like, what are they even talking about? It feels like they live in a cloud that's just so far away, so detached from reality. And the stuff that Asmongold will talk about is just stuff that he went through, experiencing his own lives, which is very similar to how we go through because we all live in the same reality.
And so Charlie Kirk got killed for saying things? Yeah, definitely, right? And anyway, yeah, you aren't on a side, you lose. Yeah, and so basically thinking, this is the reason why nobody critically thinks. Because if you critically think and you evaluate things on their own basis with your own mind, you will often come to conclusions that are inconsistent with what the rest of the population thinks. Like, I'll give you another great example, isn't it logical that people that are attracted to children in real life would probably be more, on average, attracted to children or depictions of children in anime? wouldn't that just be logical that there would be a correlation there? Well, of course there would be, but you can tell these people that there's a correlation with race and crime, and they'll be talking about how bad every minority group is, but the moment that you say that there's a correlation between lollies and pedophiles, they lose their fucking minds. It's because they don't actually care about reasoning. They don't actually care about logic. They care about their own version of reality. And that's the big issue. And this is like, what is it? We live, it's basically Goyim tyranny. We're living under Goyim tyranny, where we have the lowest common denominator and the dumbest people out there that are trying to make the rules that everybody else has to listen to.
I don't know how, right? That's the thing. That's why I don't understand. That's why, like, the logic conclusion you derive to is that the voting is fraud, as you mentioned, because the top 2%, not your friend, bottom 2%, threatening your lives. So you're affecting your day-to-day life directly. The top 2%, how they affect is like indirect, right? But we're just stuck in the middle. Like middle-class people are not leaning to the right or left, they're just homeless. Literally the actual homeless, where there's no one seems like that's actually helping you or caring about what our life is, And we're just rich, we're just people who are rich enough to give them votes.
So that's it. I've never heard that word. I just invented it. I literally just invented this. This is a goyocracy. Yes. I don't know. Like let me work on that, right? Let me work on that. I'll come up with a better term in a couple of days, right? So got to get that shirt off. No, you're getting pulled up. You're getting pulled up. What's your argument?
It was funny if you get banned.
No, it's okay. No, we're gonna you're getting it. You're getting it right now. You're gonna get it. Because I like this shirt. I'm not taking it off. I'm not taking it off, guys. This is who I am now. You're gonna have to accept the real me. You're gonna have to tear it off, man. So anyway, let me see here. Okay, my argument is that people can separate reality versus people that can't. If you aren't, then you aren't a clear thinker. Thinking about the lolly situation. So the reality, okay, so you don't think that there's any correlation at all? You don't think there's any correlation? Why do you think that's not true? Video game theory? Yeah, why do you think that? There's no correlation. I thought we were talking about your shirt. That's the same thing. They think that you're calling them all pedos? They're not all pedos, but I bet a lot more pedos like lollies than the average population likes lollies. I'll tell you that. It's obvious. People are really mad about my opinion on this. It's obvious.
See, this type of topics, Chinese immigrants just simply don't care. Like, people being pedo or not pedo, if somebody's found to be a pedophile, they obviously need to be punished, right? Again, that's an all in society. But at the same time, the immigrant community just largely don't care. We care about stuff that actually affect our lives. The people being pedophile is bad, but you don't see them, I'm just being truthful, where most people looking at it like, whoa, okay, sad, but then it doesn't really affect our lives. It's like Epstein file drama. It's disgusting. At the same time, it doesn't affect our lives. In a way, the stuff that's more fun, that I think are more that people care about, is holding people accountable, right? Look at how this princes and then people around the world, the people with power, that's supposedly, oh, I'm all righteous, I care about all the social issues. It turns out they're all pedophiles, right? Like, those are the stuff that people care about. to get justice. Oh, you scammed me? I want you in jail. This is an opportunity for us to turn around. That's what that's the stuff that I think the public cared about. But truly, like, how does that affect our day-to-day life? It really is too far away from me. It's too far away from most people who look at this issue. However, it's a good drama, and people want to listen to drama, so I guess that's the reason, right? But to be honest, like, and also hold people accountable. It just, when people are not held accountable, still, majority of the public are powerless. The Epstein file, right? People are still not being held accountable, not a single bit. What you and I can do about it? Absolutely zero. Nothing. What can we do about it? Zero. Is it sad? Yeah. So who cares? End of the day, you still have to go about your work and then make money for your own family and for yourself. That's basically the state that we're in, right? Because nothing's being held accountable. That's why also no one trusts in the judicial system or justice system, because it's all bullshit, right? It seems like the criminals, the fraudsters, they are living free. They're living high. And we're here grinding for what?
All is a stretch, it is me, but studies have shown it. Name one. Name one study. I've gone through this before. I know all of the examples you're going to give me. I've already looked into it. I know all about it. You misread? Okay. Oh, but no studies have shown it? No studies have shown it. Well, what do you think? This is the thing, right? People that never think about this, right? You should name one, not him. It's obvious. It's obvious. You literally misread it. He said no studies. Yeah, every lolly lover isn't a pedo, but every pedo is a lolly lover. End of argument, chat. I think much more on average. So you see how these people like to fight back and they like to argue about this. It's like, yeah, obviously, if you're attracted to kids in real life, you're going to be more likely to be attracted to anime that sexualizes kids. Like, duh. I mean,
that seems very simple, but it also seems common sense. I just don't know. And also, again, I don't care, right? We simply don't care. I think majority of the people don't care either.
And what are we even talking about? So this is my exact point, right? Is that this is a completely logical, totally rational perspective to have. That's it. This is a completely rational perspective to have. Shit take? It's not a shit take. Here, I'll look it up. Are pedos more likely to
super
like lollies?
Super well expensive. $30 a month.
Sexually.
Like $360 a year.
Than the average person.
This is how most people use AI, by the way, including me. I use AI to create like some apps that helps me, but most people just use it to chat.
Yes, by definition and available evidence, people with pedophilia are significantly more likely to be sexually aroused by lollies than the general population. Evidence from research, surveys of non-offending maps find frequent masturbation to child depictions as an outlet. Exclusive child-attracted individuals often report higher use of child-themed fantasy materials. Yeah, duh. Duh. I mean, what are we talking about?
Are you still on this?
Like sexual abuse material, you would call that person a pedophile.
I'm gonna go forward because this is an issue that I just don't care.
Anyway,
you know?
I can go back to my point. So I'm going to take a step back and we're going to talk about the main point. The main point right now is that critical thinking is bad. Critical thinking is bad because it leads you to conclusions that are, like, again. So
I think it leads to conclusion. I understand what it's saying because critical thinking just leave you frustrated. To people who are common sense, when you think critically, you just get frustrated. The end result is there's nothing we can change. Let's just focus on ourselves and make money. That's literally where I came, like my conclusion that I came to. Nothing in our lives, most of it in our lives, we just cannot change, right? Let's be more careful when you look at, certain people that look suspicious. When you saw homeless people on the street, just try to avoid them. When you look at certain community, try to like bypass them, right? Like that's basically stuff that we can do. But the majority of the stuff, gas prices, the medical system, it's crazy, but it's also stuff that we just cannot influence whatsoever. It's a very, very sad situation. And then, because literally, I can talk about medical system all day because I personally got affected by it. I went to emergency room for a heartburn and I paid $11,000 after insurance. Literally, this is when I was in college. All my savings were gone, wiped out, like in one visit, thanks to the American medical system. And all they did was did some exam on me. The same visit in China or in Korea, in Japan, would have cost me $20 maximum. Maximum. You know, I'm talking about probably 10. $20 being very, very generous. Very generous. You can go to China if you haven't been and experience the medical system there. And you'll say like, oh, America has the most advanced research. Give me a break, right? Just because research is good, have nothing to do with how much outrageous profit they're making out of normal people. You know, all this entire medical scam system, you know, the insurance, the hospitals, the entire, like all the entire system. I don't know what's wrong because I'm not a doctor and I'm not in the industry. I know it's not correct. The same medicine I could pay $1 for in China, I'm paying $100 after insurance here sometimes, right? Because you don't meet your deductibles. I'm talking about without insurance, you pay in China $1 here, like $100. I took my friend in Indonesia because he got bit by a spider, something. His hand got super big. It's really scary. I took him to the hospital emergency room. It was like 11 o'clock p.m. at night. And then we got a private room for him. He got an IV, shot in his arm. And then the final cost was like $60 for that emergency visit, which is already really cheap, right? Compared to American standard, because the same visit in the US, we all know how much it's gonna cost. The $60 that cost, there's a bill breakdown because the doctor tells you exactly how much it's gonna cost. It was $5 for the whole visit, and the rest of $55 was for the antibiotics because of the American antibiotics. That medicine, somehow they only got it from US. That was it. Think about that for a second. That's crazy, right? Like, I don't know, because we're in Indonesia, so they probably don't have the most, medicines or whatnot. But when I was in US, in China, like how I grew up, there were a lot of Western medicines. Even the Western medicines were cheap because a lot of the medicines like China manufacture like itself, right? Compared to Indonesia, they probably don't have the facility or the capability to manufacture it. I don't know. That's probably why they import it. And which is odd. It's weird, right? It's also sad because a poor country and they're using American medicine that's so expensive. But still, think about it. $60, 55 out of which is the medicine, antibiotics. And 5 is the entire treatment. Nurse, doctor who treated you 11 p.m. at night. So critical thinking just leave you frustrated, when you look at this. Right? Because there's nothing you can do. In conclusion, is let's make money. That's why I have
American to commit a
That's why I have a foreign famous finance channel, because our goal is let's make money together, right? Let's just get rich. Let's get out of this slump. But then outside of that, like there's really nothing we can do. Critical thinking doesn't help. You just recognize this, the reality. Oh shit, we're screwed. Nothing we can do.
Than an Asian American.
Oh, this is relevant. Okay.
All right.
How much more likely is an African American to commit a murder than an Asian American?
I'm gonna explain it.
Oh, this is gonna be multiple, huh?
10 to 20 times more likely. Here's my problem. My problem is that nobody on the internet will accept both of these things. Nobody on the internet will go and say yes and yes. They will either say no and yes, or they will say yes and no. That's what makes me fucking mad. That is why we live under Goyim tyranny.
I don't know what that means.
Absolute, complete Goyim tyranny. We've got to take away the right to vote immediately. It's a huge problem.
I have a video where I watched Socrates' hatred for democracy. You should watch that video as well, and you can watch the source video. I get the sentiment of what he's saying, taking away the vote, right? Because literally, public voting is actually, in Socrates' perspective, is dangerous. Because most people are ignorant. They're not knowledgeable, but they have the right, and they're not even contributing to the society. But everybody seems to have a right to change the entire society, which is ridiculous, right? Ridiculous. I think the fundamental basis of somebody who can change the law, who can change how the nation works, is people who contribute towards it. AK, how do you judge, right? What is a common denominator for people who contribute towards society? AK, they have to pay into the tax system. If you don't pay taxes, you shouldn't have a say in American society. It makes no sense. You have to show proof that you contributed to the society in the past 5 to 10 years or something like that, right? I don't know the exact system, but we can debate on the details. But really, if you don't contribute towards society, why are you controlling the society? It makes zero sense. That's what I think the sentiment of he's saying here.
Everybody can see it. Everybody can see it. But nobody wants to say it. That's because of the lack of critical thinking? No. You're misunderstanding. You don't understand the problem. You don't understand it. The problem isn't that people can't critically think, it's that they won't critically think. Because by using let's go even let's get even bigger. All right? Let's go even bigger. Religion is the reason, like, if you have, like, you see somebody die, we don't see any fucking heaven. We don't see any fucking angels. There's no burning bushes. I've never seen the waters of the ocean get parted or the sea get parted. I've never went and seen God inscribe something on a fucking on telegraph. I've never seen a guy fly to the moon on a winged horse. I've never seen a dude live in a fish for 3 days. I haven't seen any of these things. So the fact is that again, and we don't know any of this, right? There is no logical conclusion that leads anybody to have any idea that there is any form of an afterlife. This is a complete and absolute fantasy. It is.
But at the same time, it's a choice of belief, right? I'm very spiritual, right? I think the reason, and for me, yes, what he said is absolutely true. You don't see them in life. But again, a lot of things, just because you don't see it doesn't mean they don't exist. Just because we're absent to the fact doesn't mean it's not a fact. But end of the day, I think it's a personal choice. And then what he's saying here is his personal belief, right? My personal belief is that there is a higher being, because I don't believe humans came from monkeys. I really don't. Like the tiny percentage of DNA, I think human and monkey is 5% DNA difference, 95% similarities. And look how much of a difference in the two species. Completely different. Monkeys are monkeys, humans are humans, right? You can argue a lot of people in human society are monkeys, but the point is, I don't believe humans just came from monkeys. I think there is a creator, and he created different species, also different kinds of human in different continents. And they're meant to do certain things in a society, right? Because Earth is too much of a coincidence. In fact, like a lot of scientific, like listen to scientists, in podcasts all the time. They said the more people know, the more they become unsure of how human is here, how Earth is here. It's too much of a coincidence. It seems more of a design. And I believe that, and I choose to believe that. But that's a personal choice, and everybody can have their own personal choice. And I respect his opinion, just like I respect anybody else's opinion, just like how I respect my personal opinion, right? You can have your own belief. I believe there's a creator. Is that what kind of creator is that? What exactly is that creator? I don't know. Right? It's way to be seen. But I believe there's a higher being. That's why I believe praying works. Because there is someone who created this earth. In my opinion, there is someone who created our lives. It just then the life self-developed into a new society. But I do believe that human was put on this planet, and this planet was put here.
And we've invented this fantasy. I hope it's true. I pray every night. But you know what? I'm just a hyper-intelligent fucking monkey. I am a hyper-intelligent monkey trying desperately to understand a universe that is so profoundly complicated. I have less chance of understanding the universe than a termite has of understanding a computer. That's the reason why. But I at least recognize it, okay?
See, that's the thing, right? That's why Asmongold, like people listen to him, and that's why he's popular. Because he's obviously not arrogant. The thing about it is, he say a lot of outrageous shit, controversial stuff, but most of the time it's rooted in reality. That's number one. Number two is you can clearly tell this person is an observer, like most of us, right? We look at a reality as it is, and we accept it as it is. But if there's more proof that's shown in front of him, he's willing to change his mind. And that's the difference between him and most of the people he argue against. Because when he argued with a lot of people that just now somebody would call him a moron, clearly he was a moron. Because if you look at a fact and he just don't want to recognize that fact as a fact, and that's an issue. He start arguing about stuff that's like basically talking about democracy is on the line. That's bullshit. That's what demagoguery is, right? That's what politicians use. Where Asmongold, like any other normal person, live in our reality. In reality where we see stuff happening and we recognize it as it is. But let's say if the ultimate creator, for example, on a spirituality standpoint, actually shows itself in front of the humankind, This is the type of person that's willing to accept that as it is. Where the other guy who was calling him a moron is the person who already have a presumed assumption and is not willing to change their mind. And that's the difference, right? We're all willing to change our mind, and that's why we're progressing in life. But it's just really hard, right? It feels like every day is a suffer. But my mama also told me that that's life. You go through it, Suffering is what makes life, I guess. I just hope that we can get out of it faster. Oh my goodness.
So, no. We're going to go there.
But different people have different timing, though, to be honest. Like, it's just not our timing yet, I guess, like to buy the dream house, to live the dream life. Everybody have to go through their own life experience, life journey. Somebody timing comes faster. I guess it's meant to be. Sometimes timing can be forever, maybe never comes. And then you just have to, that's why you have to leave a legacy. You have to have kids. And then, maybe it's their timing.
So people invent all of these fantasies. They invent all of these universes so they can avoid and not have to come to terms with what their logical and critical mind concludes. They're terrified of what the truth is. They're terrified of what their critical thinking leads them to be. And also, this is the other big thing, is that you have, and I'm sorry, this is it. You didn't say, well, what is this, your monkey the gay shirt? Yes. And you said you didn't want to get distracted? I'm distracted. I'm distracted right now. Okay? That's the way it is. So anyway, the reason why nobody wants to critically think is because of J.K. Rowling. The reason why nobody wants to critically think is because of Nick Merckx. The reason why nobody wants to critically think is because of Warren Brown on YouTube. The reason why nobody wants to critically think is because of, let me think. I don't know, somebody like me even, right? Like I in a lot of ways, I'm a leftist. I am. Like, I believe in gay marriage. I think trans people are okay. I want universal basic income. I think we should have universal health care. But because I don't agree with having open borders, and because I don't agree with having trans kids, I'm a Nazi. Yeah, okay. I don't think so.
That's actually how most people think, to be honest. But personally, they come from a very conservative background and from China, Chinese immigrant, right? Physically speaking, absolutely true. Like, well, there are a few things. Talking about people, gay marriage, people being trans, we're all okay with it. Do whatever you want. Literally, as I mentioned, Chinese immigrants don't even vote. They can care less about what you want to do with your life. Do as you wish. That's literally our mentality. In fact, Chinese immigrant families are more progressive than a lot of people I know. Like, look at Chinese kids. The Indian kids here in America, Indian immigrants, they're still doing lawyer, doctor, engineer. That's it. Lawyer, doctor, engineer, lawyer, doctor, engineer. That's the three professions that they're in. Chinese immigrant, if you look at, there are Chinese homeless people on the street now, which is absurd. I was like, how, right? But Chinese families are like, well, kids, you can do whatever you want. There are more Chinese kids are doing all kinds of stuff, YouTube, gaming, stuff that you would think a Chinese culture would never allow, but it's been so changed now with time. Like, the Chinese families are more progressive than anything else, right? In terms of social values, letting their kids do whatever they want. But physically, we're more responsible or accountable. For example, universal healthcare, universal income. The thing sounds good. The ultimate discussion is where the money's going to come from. If we have the money to pay for it, sounds good. If we don't have the money to pay for it, then it doesn't sound good, right? The end of the day, the idea is where the money going to come from. And also, do I want my taxpayer money to do that, right? Do I want that's the issue. That's the debate within the Chinese immigrant community. But I really think nobody's debating that even, because nobody cares, right? They just want to go about their life. Dude, I literally asked my friends living in LA, I was like, bro, you guys knew what's happening on the street, right? Like, why none of you guys vote? He literally just told me not a single person in his community that he knows voted. Not a single, for years, for decades. Not his parents' friends. And they're all American. They're all Chinese American who live in LA, right? In the Chinese community. Not a single person vote. A lot of them don't even speak English, but they're all Americans, American citizens. And the reason why is they don't care. Their neighborhood is safe. The Chinese neighborhood is safe, and they don't care about what's happening outside. It's such a sad state of it is, but it is what it is. It also makes sense. It doesn't affect them, So, I wish they can live a healthy, peaceful life forever. I really do. Same thing goes for everyone. But it's just that the Chinese community don't care about what's happening outside. They don't vote, don't issue their voice. They're part of the Chinese culture, I guess, just endure the pain and then go about improving ourselves.
Again,
but I don't think, majority of the people don't actually agree with everything he just said. It's however you can understand the sentiment, right? Most of us are actually considered social liberal, like much far left in America political spectrum, but physically is more leaning towards conservatism, right? Which is we don't have the money, we can't spend the money we don't have. That's it.
like in a lot of ways, I am. Like, I think I'm a socialist in a lot of ways. I think this is a better way of running things. Like, I am a 60% capitalist, 40% socialist kind of guy. That's the way that I see things. And I know that some people might not like that. I don't want to debate that. My point is that you have people like J.K. Rowling, for example, that was the most insufferable feminist bitch for years. Oh my God, she was so annoying. And then she said that men shouldn't go in the women's restroom. And you know what happened? Now J.K. Rowling is on my side. You know why? Because she committed the gravest sin of all. She applied critical thinking. That's the reason.
I don't even know if that's critical thinking. This is common sense, right? Like, that's common sense. But that's also a problem, which is like, America is such a generous society from an outsider observer standpoint, where you want to protect the people who are minorities. We want to protect people who are like supposed to be underprivileged in a society. There were for sure a lot of bullying that happened to those communities, but at the same time, the majority is like now where it seems like there's overcorrection, where majority's rights are on the chopping block, and that's what the problem is. That's why people are just like, when you go too extreme on one side, it's destined that those people are gonna fight back, right? Like, why? Like, why does my kid, if I have a daughter who go to the female's restroom, have to see a biological guy undressing, right? Like, that's, but at the same time, they have rights as well. It's just that it's inconvenient fact. How do you deal with that? Like, how do you protect her, right? I think America is so considerate in that aspect. Everything is so considerate. If you ever travel to other countries, and if you don't travel internationally, it's really hard for those people to gain a perspective, right? But if you travel to other countries, especially Asia, to Middle East, you will never, like, it's just men, women, male, female, right? That's two restrooms. Here, there's like all gender restrooms, all that kind of stuff, just restrooms in general, everybody can go to. I guess that's a solution, right? It's just that it's not what majority experience in their day-to-day lives. It's a fringe minority. And it seems that at this point, the American politics putting the minorities' rights above the majority's rights, which it's just misunderstanding of priorities, in my opinion.
Nobody wants to be the person that thinks for themselves, because sometimes thinking with yourself takes you away from the group. And people are terrified to go away from the group. And that's the reason why. Look at Elon. Elon's another great example. Elon, everybody used to love Elon, right? They thought Elon was the greatest person ever. Then Elon said that, well, actually, I don't think that, you can change your gender.
He's still the greatest person ever. I think he's a genius. I think America needs to protect geniuses. Like, my father-in-law, on the other hand, have changed his mind on Elon. But I have not, right? I think he is who he is, and he has never changed. What changed American society? Elon has always been the same person. He argued with Trump. He has the whole civil war going on, right, with Trump. And then he argued with the opposition of his politics, because he, in his opinion, he lost a son because his son did a gender transition. You can have all kinds of opinions about that. I simply don't care. This is the personal life. What I truly care about is his contribution to the society. Because I use a lot of his products, Starlink. I have my friends who use Tesla, a bunch of friends who use Tesla cars. They all love it, right? Not a single person who uses Tesla doesn't love it, right? It's just been positive reviews. All the people I know, positive reviews, FSC, positive reviews. It's all good stuff. Like, he has provided so much value to society. X, I use it all the time now. It's just great. So my opinion for him never changed. He's a genius who has his own opinion. You can respect it, you can dislike it, but you have always to recognize his geniuses and his contribution to the society.
And he said pronouns were stupid. Do you remember whenever pronouns, pronouns was stupid, and this is like some massive fucking internet hysteria. Oh my God, how could you say that pronouns were dumb? So this is it. And we're going left field really hard here, to be honest. I'm telling you, right? Groupthink is the worst. So that's why nobody critically thinks. That is the exact reason why. It's because they're afraid of going against the groupthink. The groupthink is what matters more than anything else. So that's really it. Anyway, so this is, and I had to put these out, right? I did. And so anyway, no, this is really funny for me to see. It is very, very fucking funny. And I don't know really why people don't understand that, but I mean, really, it's just frustrating to me to deal with. It is. And you know, I just keep talking about this stuff. The reason I keep talking about it is because I'm worried that if I don't talk about it, nobody will talk about it. Nobody will say it because they're so audience captured that they're unwilling to see any form of second level.
It's, in a way, it's true. That's why I was thinking like Asmongold is actually shifting the culture in America. Because he streams on Twitch and YouTube. Oh, he doesn't stream on YouTube, on Kick and Twitch, which are largely dominated by younger kids, you know, on these platforms. And people hearing this are, I wouldn't say just younger kids, are like our generation even. Our generation younger. I don't think older people use Twitch that much. Older people just use TV and whatnot, right? But younger generation like us and under, 20-year-old, 30-year-old, will still use Twitch because we're gamers. And then we listen to this, you're like, okay, well, nobody else is saying what he's saying on these platforms. On Twitch is largely Hassan Piker of the world, you know? So the people who are looking at the entire world from a very elitist perspective, very different, detached from the reality. I don't know whether what he said is true, right or wrong, but, you know, it's just detached from the reality. We're not like in a position to always say that he's a moron. He's obviously very, very successful. He's also very privileged, right? But Asmongold, on the other hand, is a person who's also extremely successful on the platform, but saying the stuff that's more attached to real life. So I guess that's why it's a breath of fresh air, and the people like to listen.
It's all manufactured outrage. Yeah, it makes me so mad. It does. And I'm sorry I'm crashing out over this, but that's it.
And from a Chinese immigrant perspective, that's why like Hassan Piker, there's a debate between them, right? Hassan's very obviously jealous of Asmongold's success. And you can also tell very easily Asmongold doesn't give a fuck, right? Yeah, you can be jealous all you want. And he can have less views than Hassan, and it's clear that he doesn't give a fuck. He cares a little bit, but that's about it. He just go about his daily live streams and do what he always does. That's what he is. And if you look at Hassan, the reason why he never surpassed Asmongold is Hassan come from a perspective of jealousy. The reason why he argues a lot of things is because ultimately he's jealous that he doesn't have the same clout that Asmongold has. You know, and then there's fundamental reason for that because he simply lives in a society that's too detached from human lives, from our day-to-day lives. Everything he talks about is like, okay, and but Asmongold talk about stuff that's affecting our day-to-day lives. It's stuff that most common people see and experience in day-to-day life. And people on Twitch, I would say I wouldn't say majority because I don't have the statistic, but I would say a large amount of people actually are at a working class, are at a working level. You know, like people are working now. As long as you're working, paying taxes, you will experience what he's talking about. But it's those people who don't pay into the tax system, who don't contribute to society, are on the opposite side of the argument, right? Like that's literally what it is.
They gave Nick,
because if you have money to buy Amazon Prime or to buy Twitch membership, then you are clearly working. You own some money, you know?
Merckx is another. So Nick Merckx said that he didn't want to have gay shit inside of elementary schools, and Call of Duty canceled his partnership. He was attacked by literally everybody on the internet that's part of that side of the internet, and just in general, everybody turned against him and called him a Nazi and an evil person. All of that over that one thing. You're mostly right, but a lot of people argue on both things for grok. That's it. You're 100% right. People don't look for truth. They look for comfort. Yes. And so that's the reason. So my whole point is that is the reason why women do this. Is because however likely you think a guy is to do this, women are magnitudes more likely to do it as well. Might not like it, but I think it's true. So yeah. Any questions? Any questions? They're trying to the anime orb on Netflix. You'll appreciate it. I don't know what it is. I have no idea. And out of left field, do you have any thoughts on data centers and tech companies doing everything they can to build more and expand? No, I don't. I think that a lot of the I think there's so much propaganda around data centers that I haven't really come to a conclusion on whether they're good or bad, because all of the people that I think are retarded think that data centers are bad. So I usually assume that if all of those people think that, then they're probably not that bad. But I also don't know that either. So I'd have to look into it and educate myself. I'm just not educated in the topic, if you want me to be honest.
End of the day, it is what it is. That's what I'm saying. Like when you look at all data centers or whatnot, it doesn't affect our lives. What we see is just the end conclusion is let's make money. So make sure to follow my finance channel and let's make money together, right? Watching this is fun and all, but in the day, we have to work hard to make money. So in our finance channel, which is what I want to focus on our attention to, which is helping people learning finance together. Most of us didn't grow in a family where that's financial literate. My family certainly did not. My parents never taught me how to invest money. They certainly don't know how to invest money. They make good money in their lives because they worked hard and they did good businesses. Like my mom had a franchise business that made her tremendous amount of money. This was 30 years ago, 20 years ago. No, 30 years ago. Yeah, it doesn't matter, right? She made so much money and then she didn't have any money, right? Because she didn't know what investment is. And also in the environment, in the Chinese market environment, you can't make money unless you're part of the elite. Unless you're you have connection to the government or you don't, right? That's how you get forward. My mom simply don't know how to build those connections with the people inside the government to get ahead of the game. All the money she made, she spent it all investing in us. So the biggest investment for my parents is us, me and my sister, right? But other than that, we are not financially literate. Nobody taught us. When it comes to America, nobody taught us. Everything we have to figure it out ourselves. So my new channel is I now understand the importance of finances, because everybody should, no matter what profession you are, as a gamer, as whatever, right? You need to understand that, because otherwise your money will be drained. I guarantee you. History like to repeat itself in certain aspects. It always repeats itself, and this is one of them. If you don't take finance seriously, like finance will take you seriously.
So I don't have a hot take. Sorry. I'm a woman and I'm smarter than you. I'm glad. I wish you'd tell the other women what to fucking think. You wish you'd tell them to listen to me. Yeah, okay, great. So you're smart? Awesome. You need to go convince the other ones to listen to me. Yeah, I'm not going to argue with you. I don't give a shit. Why would I even think about this? Think about this, okay?
And by the way, my wife loves Asmongold. Right? She listened to him and then say this is a common sense. And it's funny to listen to a perspective now. Finally, somebody's speaking out what most people thinks, right? So even this type of topic, you clearly can tell he's joking, right? And he's using outrageous words to rage bait. But the actual woman who listen to this actually don't get mad. A normal female, like this is just funny to them.
Yeah. So okay, and crazy woman. Yeah. What do you think this is gonna offend me? I'm gonna get defensive or something. I don't even know who you are. So anyway, you're saying these people can critically think, and imagine if there was no current agenda or religion, would they just find another myth to believe in that justifies them being stupid or lazy? Yes. Yes, they would simply replace one fantasy for another. That's correct. That is absolutely correct. 100%. Why do people say critical thinking instead of thinking? Oh, I don't know. And thinking you get mad over that shows you isn't smarter? Maybe, I don't know. Do you think the left is more afraid of themselves than the right? I think that they are, but they're both. And yeah, I think that there's both there. There's some really interesting studies by an independent guy on YouTube on ultrasounds and how it affects humans around data centers. Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, right? I mean, you have cells, and those cells are going to do things if you fuck around with them. So I think it makes sense. Anyway, so we'll go back to this. Okay, so by the way, that was a 30-minute fucking crash out tangent. I'm sorry, but I just can't stop thinking about it. I can't stop thinking about the absolute fucking affront to my heritage and to my culture that we allow people who are subhuman to vote. I find it to be so... this is I'm being oppressed by them. I'm being oppressed.
By the way, this is exactly what I mean. You agree with the sentiment, but you probably don't agree with the words he used. But see Asmongold too rich, and his life is unchanged by how much money he makes. He simply doesn't give a fuck, right? And that's what makes him kind of funny. But at the same time, you and I on a day-to-day conversation would never use that kind of words. Same as him. If you communicate with a normal person on a day-to-day life, I'm almost certain he won't use the type of words. But again, I don't know him personally, so I don't know, right? But this is literally, from a Chinese immigrant perspective, when you look at this, you agree with the sentiment, but you don't necessarily agree with the wording. Again, wording, nobody cares. End of the day, people care about actions more than words.
I'm actually so mad. I think about it every day. Whenever I see somebody stupid and I think about the fact that they have a voice in society, it makes me furious. It makes me so mad. 30-minute tangent was enjoyable. I hope so. Do you think we'll have restrictions on voter restrictions in my lifetime? I hope so. If there's a way to help it happen, it'll be by me. So yes, I agree with you, dude. I know. You sound like Plato saying subhuman. I can't say it too much with too many different people because then it'll be, be like a thing. But like, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, that's that's the whole thing, guys. Overall, when you look at Asmongold's take, it's mostly just common sense. That's why I like this channel, Common Sense with Dave. If I'm a Chinese immigrant perspective, looking at American politics, not politics, just American life, a lot of it, you will say, this guy's making... by the way, when people say the word based, I don't know exactly what it means. I'm learning because it's an internet culture word, right? But the way how I interpret this word is based in reality. I think that's what it means, right? So he's based in a way where he's most of the talking points are based in reality. And it's based, there you go. So, by the way, guys, if you watch this video and you agree with some of the stuff that we share, some of the takes, make sure to go follow our finance channel. If you're an outdoor person, look, this video is being recommended. And you live in Austin, you haven't climbed this. This is a full walkthrough. All of me in a river place because I'm really outdoor. And then this is one of the best trails. The full review of it in HD. I don't know why my internet's fucking up. It's like showing very low quality shit. But this is really, really good trail. And I highly recommend you go walk. And this is a full walkthrough of it so you can get a look. And every time when I trail, I also talk about interesting topics. So hope you guys enjoy that. And I will talk to you guys later. See you next time. Bye for now.